Hello, my dear children. Namaste and welcome to session 3 of our class 10 ICSE Biology chapter Absorption by Roots. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this amazing platform of Vedantu. Well, guys, talking about the amazing platform, do remember to stay subscribed to this channel. Click on the subscribe button right now, just in case you haven't done it yet, because we are nearing the end of academic year and just a couple of chapters more for us to complete in Bio ICSE 10th and CBSE class 9 and 10 are actually already covered entirely, and we intend to come up with new and a lot more creative series for you, just like Bio Bites was launched. Something like that will be coming up very, very soon. Okay, so let us move ahead with full josh, with full positivity. The struggle you are in today is developing the strengths you need for tomorrow. Always keep this in mind. Every time you feel a little, what to say, a little discouraged or a little tired of whatever struggle you've been going through, whatever it may be in studies or personally or whatever it may be, always keep this in mind. Whatever struggle you're in today is only making you a stronger and a better person to face a lot of bigger things tomorrow. Okay? All right. So today, let us learn about the forces which help in ascent of sap, guttation, and the absorption of water and minerals. All right, so I'm assuming all of you would by now have a basic idea about the major terminology that we have discussed in session 1 and session 2, because without understanding those terms like diffusion, osmosis, isotonic, hypertonic, hypotonic, all of that, today's session might be a little confusing for you. So just in case you haven't done that yet, haven't watched those sessions yet, please do go back and watch the replay of those, because learning this in a sequence is very, very important. Okay, all right, so here is the homework that I had given you in the last class. What is wilting? Right, so here is the answer. Wilting is the loss of rigidity of non-woody parts of plants, as simple as that. And this occurs when the turgor pressure in non-lignified plant cells falls towards zero, as in there is almost zero turgidity in plant cells. It is when that happens that the plant ends up wilting. Without much water in it, it becomes flaccid and all of that, and ultimately the plant is seen to wilt as a result of diminished water in the cells. So this is it. This is an example of a wilted plant. Okay, now what is meant by ascent of sap? Because ascent of sap is something that we are going to be understanding right now, and this forms the core of today's session. Ascent, literally in English, means upward movement. Descent is the opposite of ascent, and that means going down. So sap, when I say sap, it refers to the fluidy parts which can be found inside each cell sap, as we call it. So that would contain a mix of water and a lot of other dissolved minerals and a lot of other ions in it. That is what we mean by sap. Upward movement of sap in plants is what we are going to be understanding today. So the upward movement of water from the root to the aerial parts of the plant body is what we mean by ascent of sap. From here towards the upper parts, because as we know, it's from the soil that all of this gets absorbed by the roots, and obviously from there it has to be transported towards the upper parts of the plant. Now, ascent of sap occurs even in the tallest of trees. Imagine trees like sequoia, which are like several feet in height. Imagine they can range sometimes, like some species of sequoia trees, they can range from 300 to 400 feet in height, and they can be even as old as 4,000 years old. Can you imagine? Even in those, ascent of sap can occur. Isn't that just wonderful? Yes. So let us now try and understand what is it that drives ascent of sap, the process which we call ascent of sap. What are the forces which drive this entire process? Okay, there are 5 major forces which are responsible for this. Let's try and understand them one by one. Okay, osmosis, first of all. Osmosis, if you remember from our previous sessions, we have discussed that it is the movement of water from a region of water's higher concentration to a region of water's lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane, right? That is the definition that we have seen in the previous classes. And right now, think about how it is relevant when it comes to the roots of plants. Osmosis is actually the force which pushes water to the root hairs. So imagine that this image is showing one single root hair cell, okay? And this is an extension which we call the root hair. As you can see, when there is a difference in solute concentration between two solutions separated by a semi-permeable membrane, say for example, the plasma membrane of this cell is acting as the semi-permeable membrane here, okay? So when such a membrane separates two different solutions, one which is outside, I'll mark this outside, and this is inside. Okay, so inside the root hair cells, if you actually remember the characteristics, the special characteristics that root hair cells possess, which makes them special and eligible for uptake of water and minerals. I think we discussed that in session 1 of this chapter. I have told you that always the solute concentration inside root hair cells is maintained very, very high as compared to the solute concentration around the root hair cells. That has a very, very important reason. When I say solute concentration here, so I'll just mark it here so that you don't have any confusion. Solute concentration is high here, and outside solute concentration is lower comparatively. Okay, it's always maintained that way. Constant active uptake of minerals keeps happening inside a root hair cell. So that when this happens, in order to naturally bring about a balance, when there is a higher solute concentration inside as compared to outside, water tends to move in from outside to the inside. Because it's separated through a semi-permeable membrane, according to the principle of osmosis, water naturally moves from an area of water's higher concentration to an area of water's lower concentration. Do remember that it's a very, very important point. When I say water's higher concentration, it means outside it is more dilute, right? And inside it is more concentrated. Okay, so water in osmosis always moves from a dilute solution towards a more concentrated solution, as in a solution which is more concentrated with solutes. Okay, so this kind of movement happens in root hair cells. So coming back to the point which is written here, osmosis pushes water into the root hair cells. This is the first step. Okay, osmosis. Now what happens? There is something that is called root pressure, which builds up in the roots, in the root hair cells, and this pressure would push the water towards the upper parts, which is towards the stem. As you can see here, it is given in an upside down manner just for you to understand. This is the root hair cell, and these are the subsequent cell layers that the water will have to follow, the pathway that the water will have to follow once it is entered into the root hair cell. Okay, so through the epidermis into the cortex, and it comes further inside and enters into the xylem. Once it has reached the xylem, it gets transported a lot easily, because we know that xylem is the main water conducting tissue of the plant body, right? So starting with osmosis, and then comes root pressure, which pushes the water upward towards the stem. Okay, now capillary action. So literally thinking about talking about what capillary action is, capillarity or capillary action can be described as a kind of movement of some kind of a fluid naturally within very, very tiny and thin tubular structures. Okay, in many living organisms, in many parts of living organisms, within cells, within tissues, this naturally happens. Okay, capillary action is how we call it. Like, it can even happen against gravity. How exactly? Because of the simple attraction between adjacent molecules of that particular fluid. So here we are talking about capillarity of water. So capillary action results in rise up of water at the base of the stem. Okay, this is how it flows further up. Capillary action is the third point we need to know. Started with osmosis, and then coming to root pressure, and then capillary action plays a major role. But talking about capillary action, we also need to understand the names of two major forces, which are the forces of adhesion and the force of cohesion. Okay, these two terms are very important to describe this, because adhesion is the force of attraction between like molecules. For example, as you can see here, between two water molecules, there is a force of attraction. If you have ever observed, if you just put one drop of water on a surface, like maybe on the table or something, just drop it with your finger, very, very close to it, maybe like 2-3 millimeters next to it, if you put another drop of water, within some time, they end up merging. That is the force of adhesion, the force of attraction between like molecules. So in this case, it is the force of attraction between two water molecules, between adjacent water molecules. And comes another kind of attractive force as well, which is cohesion, which is the force of attraction between water molecules and the walls of these cells, walls of the xylem cells. This is called cohesion. So both of these are very important, right? Because we are now talking about capillarity and how the water is able to move up, along the stem and upward to reach the tallest parts of the plant. How is it maintaining this water column? That is where these are important to know, because there is always an attraction between water molecules. They are like moving as the best of friends, like a bunch of friends moving together, and also they are attracted to the walls which are there. They have a sort of sticky force, not exactly sticky, but an attractive force that holds them intact without going in the opposite direction as well. So that is cohesion, and between like molecules, it is adhesion. Okay, so adhesion and cohesion would make the column of water molecules. This entire column of water molecules would be maintained by these forces. And now comes transpiration. Now, transpiration, you all know it as the process by which water is lost in the vapor form from the aerial parts of the plant. What does it have to do here? Well, it is important to understand that transpiration, especially when it comes to taller plants like trees and all of that, when transpiration happens, as you can see in this, I want you to now focus on these zoomed in images. Okay, so here we are looking at one of these leaf cells as shown here, and as you can see in the epidermis of that leaf cell, there are stomata. Through that stomata, water is getting lost, right, as a result of transpiration. Now, when a molecule of water gets lost, an empty space is created there, because it's pretty much like how an employee resigns from a company, from an important post, and there is a vacancy created there. Immediately somebody has to be recruited to fill in that vacancy, fill in that post, something like that. Okay, water molecule which is at the very end, it gets lost through transpiration. In order to fill up that gap, the next water molecule from the entire water column, the one which is lying just next to it, is pulled up by attraction, and that comes and takes up this position. When that also gets lost, the next one comes, and so on. Okay, so although what I told you seems like a very slow process, in the sense one water molecule getting lost and all of that, this is actually a very, very fast and continuous process. As you can see here, this continuously keeps happening, so that this process of transpiration is ending up creating a sort of pulling effect from the top. From the bottom, we have seen it all. Started with osmosis, root pressure, capillarity, and also aided by adhesion and cohesion, that water column is maintained. That is all fine. Now, in addition to them, there is also transpiration pull, which acts something like a pulling effect from the top to give them additional support. Okay, so that is also very, very important here. So from there, that pulling effect continuously is maintained. Okay, yes, so right from the bottom, everything happens and entirely works like one single column. So here is an overview of Ascent of Sap. So basically, you've got an idea about how cell sap, or how that water can move from the lowest cells, which are the root hair cells of a plant, till the uppermost regions of a plant body. So this is the overview. Remember that transpiration creates transpirational pull. You can look at it in any way, like as in you can either start with transpiration or you can start with osmosis. That's all right. I would normally prefer to start with osmosis, but I'm just going in the reverse direction right now so that you get a better idea, because we've learned it in this order right now, starting with osmosis. Now let's look at it in the opposite way. Transpiration creates transpirational pull. So in order to fill up that vacancy, that gap which the lost water molecule has created, adhesion and cohesion would make a column of water molecules. Capillary action results in the rise up of water at the base of the stem. Root pressure pushes water to the stem here, and osmosis pushes water to the root hair cells. Now, children, this is very, very, very important from your exam point of view. Okay, you must very well know how this works. Okay, even a 1 mark question can come from this. You just need to know how this process entirely works. Okay, now let us look at water and mineral uptake by roots. So this diagram, I have seen it commonly being asked in a lot of past years papers in section B. Okay, the diagram might be given to you without labeling the parts directly, maybe A, B, C and things like that. And you will have to identify specific cells and specific processes which are related to this asked in the question. Okay, so entry of water by the root hair cells. So here, just for you to understand, let me set the context. Although it may look like a very, very mechanical sort of diagram like you see in physics and all of that, it is not exactly that. What you see here, these brown structures are the soil particles. Okay, this orange extension here is the root hair. Okay, and this is the root hair cell. This entire thing is the root hair cell, and these are the further cells lying inside the root. Okay, and here this is the xylem vessel through which water passes. So we are obviously going to be starting with the soil and with the root hair cells. Root hair cells, as I have told you, have low concentration of water as compared to the soil. As I have told you the other way also, root hair cells have a higher solute concentration as compared to the soil. Likewise, if you think about it from the perspective of water, root hair cells have a lower concentration of water as compared to soil. Soil is more dilute and the environment inside the root hair cells is more concentrated with solutes. But thus, the water moves down the concentration gradient and naturally enters into the root hair cells. Children, very, very important to get this idea clear in your head, because in my experience I have seen many children getting confused with this. When I say a concentrated solution, when I just say a concentrated solution, I'm talking about a solution which has a lot of solutes in it. But if I have to specifically say water concentration, I will specify the word water. When I say high water concentration, that means it is a dilute solution. But when I say a highly concentrated solution, it is just a solution high in solutes and not water. Very important difference, and a very, very subtle thing that makes a huge difference to your understanding of this concept. Okay, children, make a note of it and keep writing down this until it is very, very clear in your head. Okay, and now, how do minerals enter into the root hair cell? If you remember, I told you at the start that the solute concentration is always maintained at a high level inside the root hair cells as compared to the outside environment, the environment around the root hair cells. Why so? In order to encourage water entry by osmosis. This is a natural process that occurs. So these cations, plenty of cations, it's as in positively charged ions, and plenty of anions are taken in and maintained in a high concentration inside the root hair cells. So minerals, how are they taken up? They are taken up in their ionic form by active transport. If you remember, I told you earlier, not today, in one of my previous sessions, that active transport is the process by which transport of materials happens against the concentration gradient. Okay, which means it doesn't naturally occur. Remember, I gave you that example of riding your cycle uphill, wherein you have to spend energy to achieve that, because it's not, you're going against gravity, something like that. Okay, so as a result, energy obviously gets utilized. Energy is utilized in the uptake of minerals, and due to the active uptake, naturally, the concentration of minerals increases inside the plant cells as compared to the surroundings. So once again, let me draw the root hair cell for you. Okay, so this is the root hair cell, the cell wall, and this is the cell membrane. So active transport keeps happening of these minerals into the root hair cells. As a result, what happens? There is a high concentration of solutes inside the cells as compared to the surroundings. Yes, which means water. I'm repeating this so that the more you hear it, better it will be retained in your memory. Okay. And what I mean is there is higher water concentration outside and lower water concentration inside. Or in other words, high solute concentration inside the root hair cells and lower solute concentration outside the root hair cells. Okay, this is how active transport helps in entry of all these minerals into the root hair cells. Yes, here is another image for you to understand that the movement of minerals. This is the root hair cell. Okay, and as you can see, the uptake of all these cations and anions occurs by active transport, and as a result, osmosis naturally follows, and the rest of it is maintained this way, this pathway, right? This is it, ascent of sap. Okay, now coming to the concept of guttation, which is basically the loss of water in the form of liquid water droplets from openings called hydatodes on the leaf. So what exactly is this? Basically what happens is whenever plants face an excess of watering, either like by whatever the gardener does by over watering the plants or something, or like by a natural process or something, what happens is transpiration, of course, is a way by which plants can get rid of excess water during the daytime, right? Because stomata would be open, through that in the form of vapor, excess water can get lost. Whereas at night time, what happens is stomata normally remain closed, right? So what happens if there is excess of water at night and transpiration cannot happen? There has to be an alternative for this. To get rid of the excess water, some plants, especially smaller plants, make use of a process called guttation, which is an alternative route. Instead of losing water through the stomata, they lose the excess water through openings called hydatodes, which are found along leaf margins, as you can see here. Leaf margins, these pearly bead-like structures which you see here, are nothing but the liquid water droplets lost through hydatodes. Okay? Yes, this is the process which we call guttation. All right, so mostly you would see these kinds of droplets early in the mornings because it might be the excess water that the plant lost during night time, because once the sun is out and the stomata are ready to open for photosynthesis, transpiration can start happening. Okay, so early in the mornings is when normally this can be observed in plants. Okay. Right, children, now I think it's time to take a break, and let me remind you that your academic year is coming towards its end. So do remember, Vedantu is always here to help you score your best and achieve your best. So we have got a lot of unlimited live classes with a lot of fun and high-level quizzes. Yes? And you get to compete with students across the world. Isn't that great? Because instead of only the kinds of students that you know in your normal classroom, you get to compete with so many students from different parts of the country, from different parts of the world. So you get to understand what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are and work accordingly. And I think this one, the interactive replay feature that we have on Vedantu, is something very, very useful and really a cool feature, because it may not be possible for you to have a look at all the videos that we have on the platform on a daily basis, obviously, because we have got like 5,000 plus micro courses that you can choose from. So obviously, you have a limit to what you can see in a day or what you can attend in a day. Just in case you miss out on something that you wanted to attend, the replay button is always there. But many times children complain, when it comes to live Menti quizzes on YouTube itself, you're like, oh, I missed it live. So now when I have to watch the replay, it's boring because I can't take part in the Menti anymore. But on the Vedantu platform, we have a solution for that. Our replays are also interactive, which means once you click on the replay button, you get to watch the replay of the session that happened, as in the teacher would be teaching. But then the interesting thing is that quizzes can still be live. You can still take part in the quiz even in a replay like a live session. Isn't that amazing? So obviously you can be part of the leaderboard as well. And also after every single session, you get to download very, very interesting high quality content handwritten from your favorite master teachers. And of course, in-class doubt solving beyond, say, the master teachers and also a team of class teachers together work with each other and with you to ensure that your doubts are all solved. Yes, children, as I told you, 5,000 plus micro courses that you can choose from, and free crash courses also. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. Those of you who are registered with Vedantu Pro will naturally, automatically have access to all these, which means according to what chapter you want to study now. Suddenly, many times when it comes to a long-term batch or when we go in a sequence of chapters, children are like, ma'am, this is not the chapter that's happening in my school. Tomorrow I have a test on the chapter circulatory system. So can you please finish that fast? So obviously it may not be practically possible when it comes to a long-term batch. That is why micro courses are here to help you. 5,000 plus micro courses on the entire syllabus has been done by your favorite teachers. You can just get access to that by clicking on that. That's it. You don't have to pay anything extra for that. It comes along with this. Crash courses, of course, very, very important tool for you to succeed. And coming to the pricing part, we totally believe that less is more. More classes would mean lesser price. How exactly? I will tell you how it works, but to check out the details of this, remember to visit the link in the description box below and in the pinned comment and use the coupon code AMBPRO so that you can avail the best discounts available out there in Vedantu Pro. Yes, children, so let us now do the math, okay? So we've got three major plans for you: 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. Okay. So a 1 month plan would normally cost you 2,699. 30-day subscription would cost you 2,699. But remember, this cost is not per subject. It is for all your 6 subjects together. When I say 6 subjects, it would mean physics, chemistry, bio, math, SST, and English. All this together for a month, 2,699. Okay, and the 3 months and 6 months pricing is all given. But then if you apply the coupon code AMBPRO, you can avail the 1 month subscription at rupees 2,159, the 3 month subscription at 5,599, and the 6 month subscription at 9,199. So if you are still confused whether or not it's reasonably priced, let me tell you the per class price of this. Okay, so when I say a 1 month of subscription, it means you get access to about 200 sessions in a month. So to calculate the per class price, divide the monthly price by the total number of sessions you can avail. It would come roughly up to rupees 11. Imagine, per class price is only rupees 11 if you go for the 1 month subscription. Now, if you go in for a 3 month subscription, this reduces even further because 5,599, which is the total 3 month amount that you end up paying, gives you an access to 600 odd sessions, and divide it and you get rupees 9 per class. And again, for a 6 month subscription, it's even lower, 9,199, which is the total price, divided by 1,200, which is the number of sessions you can avail in these 6 months. It makes it rupees 8 per class. Isn't that just amazing, children? I don't think you need any further proof, because definitely this is even ending up being cheaper than your favorite party pack lace. Okay, so just give it a shot, children, because Vedantu has this strong vision of making education affordable to all, and that is exactly why on YouTube also we do this. But then, as I always say, there is a limit to what we can do on YouTube, because we can't really, it's a platform, of course, where we can put up a lot of interesting content, but something that's more personalized is something that you can achieve through the Vedantu platform, and that is also available to you at such a reasonable and affordable price, right? So definitely try it out and see it for yourself. Now it's completely up to you to decide, children, but we are always here to support you. Just remember the coupon code AMBPRO, okay? Right, now it is time for a quick check. Let us quickly do a quiz to check how much of today's content you've understood. The pressure under which water passes from the living cells of a root into the xylem is dash. Turgor pressure, root pressure, ionic movement, or none of these? The pressure under which water passes from the living cells of a root into the xylem. Yes, I think it's quite easy. And your time is up. The answer is, of course, root pressure. Yes. Now, minerals in solution are transferred from a region of their lower concentration to higher concentration using energy by dash. Yes. Active transport, passive transport, osmosis, or diffusion. What do you think? Minerals in solution are transferred from a region of their lower concentration to a region of their higher concentration using energy. Using energy is the key there. And your time is up. The answer is active transport. Yes, of course. Energy is energetic, would mean active. So that is the hint for you there. Okay. Now, the next question for you. The loss of excessive water the loss of excessive water through the tip of a leaf in herbaceous plants early in the mornings is due to dash. Dew formation, guttation, extreme cold, or none of these. Loss of excessive water through the tip of leaves in herbaceous plants early in the mornings is due to dash. What is the name of that process? What is the name of that phenomenon? And your time is up. The answer is, of course, guttation. What if the question was the openings through which water is lost in liquid form at the leaf, through the leaf margins in a plant? What would your answer be? What is the name of that opening? The answer would be hydatodes. Do remember that. Not stomata, it would be hydatodes through which guttation occurs. Okay, hydatodes. Okay. Right, children, so very, very well done on that if you have got all these three correct. And let me remind you that you now know about the forces which help in ascent of sap, the concept of guttation, and the entire concept of absorption of water and minerals. Right, children, now for the homework question for you. Why does coconut milk taste sweet? And what is the source of this sweet taste? Okay. Something that is worth doing a research on. I don't know how many of you here are fond of coconut milk. Well, myself being from Kerala, obviously I'm very, very fond of coconut-based dishes. Many people, many of my North Indian friends are not so fond of coconut. But then coconut milk has got an amazing taste and it adds an amazing flavor to a lot of curries. And, we make these vegetable coconut milk-based stew and all of that as a side dish for appam. Well, I don't want to think about it right now. Anyway, why does it taste sweet is the point, and what is the source of the sweet taste? Okay, so think about it and give me the answer, children. Remember to visit the link in the description box below and the pinned comment. The coupon code is AMBPRO. Right, children? So remember to follow me on Instagram as well. Let me tell you that before forgetting, Ambika_Vedantu, so that you can find a lot of quick stress busters in the form of moral stories, in the form of motivation and all of that. And that will definitely help you. And we come up with a lot of other interesting posts as well. And remember to click on the like button right now if you have enjoyed this, found it useful, and would like more and more of such sessions, children, because giving us a like is what is the easiest way of letting us know that you want more and more of such sessions, right? And of course, as I always say, sharing is caring. So share it with all your class 10 ICSE friends so that they can also benefit from this, okay? Because plant physiology is one unit that many children have an allergy for, to be honest. So that is exactly why I'm going slow and steady. So never mind. In these sessions, through these sessions, you will certainly understand these concepts and be completely exam ready. All right. And stay subscribed to our channel Vedantu 9th and 10th English in case you haven't done it yet. Because as I said, just like Bio Bites, many other new series will also be coming up very, very soon. So stay tuned. And until we meet again, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye-bye.